Happy lunchtime, everybody. The madness has begun. The 49ers have already cut or traded 9 players, so they have about 20 to go before they reach 53. Thought I'd make this fun, pop open the spreadsheet that I'm working on to track this real time, and we can all track this in real time together. I'm going to also hop on Twitter right now so that everybody has a chance to follow along there while we do this. And this is going to be fun. First time I'm trying something like this, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, the 49ers, if we want to recap what has happened so far, you can go to the spreadsheet, which I'm going to link for you in just a second, but it's the one that's up on the screen. Surprise move so far, Michael Pruitt released by the 49ers. So they currently only have 3 tight ends now on my 53-man projection, but I'm still awaiting the fate of Jordan Matthews. That was a player that I was anticipating would go to the practice squad for the 49ers. So barring a surprise, it'll be only 3 tight ends for this football team. And I have so many windows open right now on my computer that this is getting a little ridiculous. But you could see right here, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger as I try to actually find the spreadsheet. There is the spreadsheet window that you are viewing is right here. You can see who the 49ers have followed so far, who the 49ers have cut so far. They traded linebacker Jonas Griffith to the Denver Broncos in a pick swap kind of move that ultimately netted the 49ers a 2022 6th-round draft pick. So a good move because I didn't project Jonas Griffith to make the 53-man roster. So the 49ers essentially turned an undrafted free agent into a 6th-round pick. You can't beat that because Griffith otherwise would have been waived and the 49ers would have gotten nothing from him. So that was a win-win for everybody involved, including Jonas Griffith, who now is assured a spot on a 53-man roster. Senyo Kelemete, guard, was waived. He's likely going to go to the practice squad. I reported that Josh Hokett has been waived. He's also likely going to go to the practice squad. This is all contingent on nobody picking these players up because they have to clear waivers first. Jake Brendel was released. He's a vested veteran, and there's a good chance the 49ers bring him back. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Michael Pruitt was released, so the 49ers owe him his $500,000 of guaranteed money. That made that at least a mild surprise, despite the fact that Pruitt hasn't been good so far this year in the preseason. HaHa Clinton Dix, veteran safety, was released. That wasn't a surprise, although it disappointed some people. Travis Benjamin, the 49ers veteran receiver, was released. That was big news because releasing Travis Benjamin and waiving Simba Webster has opened the door for both Jalen Hurd and Jawan Jennings to make the 49ers 53-man roster. So, yes, that is big news. And then Alexander Myers, cornerback, waived, likely going to the practice squad. That means the 49ers here are down to 71, as you can see in the spreadsheet. And I will share that with you right now. We are waiting about 20 more cuts, 18, I would say, with maybe only 17 coming because Sean Coleman, who has a strained tricep muscle, will likely go to injured reserve because the 49ers can't just straight up release him according to the rules. So there's the spreadsheet for you. Here's the link going into the comment section. I want to get this sucker up on Twitter, but I don't know if it's going to be possible right now. So I think I'll just share the YouTube to get people to go to YouTube. For some reason, not currently working. So why don't we do that? I got TweetDeck rolling here. Good app to get everything in real time. It's addictive, though, because that thing is just going to be scrolling on you over on the side. I'll answer questions as we wait for the 49ers cuts to come in, but why don't I get the link on YouTube to send it out to Twitter so that everybody can join us? There it is. Cool. Close it. Yeah, this is going to get people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which if you haven't done yet, you should do right now and tell all your friends. Got to force them. It's the business plan. We got to force them to YouTube. What should we call it? We should call it the title of the video, I think. I'm live. Watch Word live with the spreadsheet. I'll capitalize the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet deserves a formal name. make their 53-man cutdowns. Watch me work live with the spreadsheet as the 49ers make their 53-man cutdowns. I'll answer your questions too. Boom. All right, everybody, go and retweet that and get everybody out. Bring the word to the YouTube channel. It's blown up here over the last couple of months, which has been nice, which is basically when I really started putting some more time into it. It's fun to kind of interact with everybody on here. It's like Twitter, but in real time, so it helps you add a little bit more texture to your answers. So nothing new right now since we started the live. 49ers, according to the spreadsheet there to my left. Ooh, that just changed the formatting of it. I'll keep it like this. I'm sure you could zoom in on it with your screen, but when something happens and you really need to see it, go to the link that I have posted. Maybe I could even pin the link onto the comment section, but I have a running list in the bottom right of the 9 players the 49ers have cut so far. Again, Jonas Griffith, Senyo Kelemete, Josh Hokett, Jake Brendel, Michael Pruitt, HaHa Clinton Dix, Travis Benjamin, Simba Webster, and Alexander Myers have all been jettisoned from the 49ers. Jonas Griffith via trade with the Broncos, the rest of the players via waiver or release. So let's answer some questions. By the way, updated 53-man roster. You can see here, as stuff has changed in real time, we now have both Jalen Hurd and Juwan Jennings projected to make the 49ers 53-man roster. That's going to be very popular with fans who wanted both of those guys on the 53-man roster. And entering today, it looked like it was, likely, but a lot of projections, including mine, thought only one of those guys would be able to make it. But the 49ers have now cleared the path for both Jalen Hurd and Juwan Jennings to make the 53-man roster. All right, let's see what's going on here with some of these questions. Yeah, this is a good one right here from Thomas, who I know. Hey, Thomas, I assume Benjamin would take punts. Who do you think is in line now? The fact that Travis Benjamin has been released means that the 49ers are very likely comfortable with Brandon Ayuk being their top punt returner. That's also going to be music to some fans' ears. Other fans are going to be, I think, a little queasy about that because they don't want Brandon Ayuk returning punts. But the signaling has been there. The 49ers have been allowing Brandon Ayuk to compete for that job. And, why not have one of your best players in space, maybe your best player in space, try to pick up some yardage on punt returns, because yardage you gain there counts as well. Of course, there is an injury concern, but there's an injury concern anywhere. And the only spot that it's markedly higher than it is on offense or defense is on kick returns. I mean, kick returns is where it's full suicide, full speed ahead. Punt returns still have a little bit of, reasonable restraint because it's not two freight trains running at each other from opposing ends of the field. So I expect the 49ers to use Brandon Ayuk since they don't have anybody else really with a ton of experience there now that Travis Benjamin is gone. And remember that Mohamed Sanu, who's expected to make this 53-man roster, and a virtual lock now that the 49ers have waived or released some of those other receivers, Mohamed Sanu does have some experience there. So if the 49ers are only looking for somebody to fair catch punts, Mohamed Sanu can certainly do it if they don't want to risk Brandon Ayuk unnecessarily. So this is a strong, strong message that Ayuk is in line to return punts, and Mohamed Sanu, the other experienced body, can get that done as well. I'm going to keep on peeking over. It's at the tweet deck to see if anything new has come across. Would Mitchell be a punt return candidate? Possibly, but I'm not sure because, he's a good kick returner. He didn't have experience in college, but all his college coaches told me that he could do it at the NFL level. Elijah Mitchell at a 45-yarder against the who they play? The Raiders. Yeah, against the Raiders on Sunday in kick returns. I think that locked up Elijah Mitchell's role on special teams. They're going to try to use him on those kick returns. Obviously, those aren't as potentially impactful as they were before with the T spot moving up in the NFL. So there's way more touchbacks than normal. Punt return, you don't do unless the guy has some experience, and you got to give it to him in the preseason because punt returns can go really wrong if you have an inexperienced guy back there. So Ayuk has experience, Sanu has experience. I think those are your two guys. We're still at 9. and we are 45 minutes away from the deadline. Now, I'm not sure if the 49ers are going to announce their moves before the deadline, but hopefully we get stuff coming in through the grapevine through other sources before then. Well, of course you could only open read-only on the spreadsheet. Otherwise, you guys would be making your own changes to it and messing everything up. If you want to work with the spreadsheet that's up there on the screen, and it's somewhere in the comment section with the link, you could also go to my Twitter. I've linked it a couple times today. If you want to work with it, go to File or Edit or whatever and make a copy. Once you make your copy, you can work with it however you want. I'm just not letting all 5,000 of you go there and mess up my spreadsheet. So you can get off my lawn on that one. All in good fun, though. This was a little bit of a debate, especially on Twitter. Clinton Dix trying to make the team over Tavon Wilson. And, I could make this bigger to show you guys where that would have fit. That would have been down here in the safety room. So is not on the roster anymore. But Tavon Wilson showed up earlier in the offseason for the 49ers. You can see him here highlighted behind Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart. And the 49ers really need that depth, right? Because Tart especially has been injury prone lately. Ward has been earlier in his career. And Hufanga's a rookie. So as impressive as he's been, you need, I think, that one extra veteran. So that's why I expect Wilson to survive these cuts. And, the fact that it was Wilson instead of Clinton Dix is a reflection of the fact that Wilson played with the first team throughout most of camp, was a reliable, trusted veteran throughout most of camp, and Clinton Dix came much later and was only working with the second team. The 49ers aren't looking for the highest ceiling out of a player that is depth in the safety room. They're looking to raise the floor so that they don't have a disaster there, which is why I projected Wilson over Clinton Dix and why I think the 49ers likely picked Wilson over Clinton Dix. Now, Wilson is not out of the woods yet. Maybe the 49ers only do take 3 safeties. We have to wait for the finalization of these cuts. However, oh my God, breaking news. Dante Pettis made the Giants' initial 53-man roster. I guess that was 52 minutes ago. I don't know if that's good for the Giants or if Dante Pettis is maybe good. Well, it's good for both. It's good for Dante Pettis. I'm not so sure it's good for the Giants. Maybe he made huge strides, though. Maybe he's a more physical receiver now. That was the issue with the 49ers. But Pettis is aboard over there. And to finish the answer about the safety question, Tavon Wilson, just higher floor veteran. That's what the 49ers were looking for out of that breaking news spot. This is fun. I just wish that the 49ers cuts would come in quicker. I came on at 12 o'clock because I thought that all these cuts were starting to come in. I thought we'd get to have some fun, but I guess we could talk about Mac Jones while we wait, do all that stuff. I'm going to send out a tweet about the 49ers punt returns. Actually, I already did. I don't know why I have to send out another one, but people are talking about it. So let me go and quote tweet something that I already said. Hopefully you're following me on Twitter. Hopefully you're following me here on YouTube. And please realize this is not a normal show. This is meant to be live. So I'm not going to be talking all the time. I hope everybody else is on social media following as well. And this kind of just gives you a little bit of a window into how I work as we wait for these cuts to happen. I just got some more 49ers news, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to report it yet, so stay tuned. And as soon as I am able to report it, I could do it right here on the YouTube Live. Just kind of came in. Hopefully you guys can't see my screen. Otherwise, you know it before you're supposed to. But we definitely can add another player to the release list. This one you guys might be interested in. Such a tease right now. I mean, punt returns, yeah, Jawan Jennings and Jalen Hurd's 53-man stock. The news is the 49ers have released Jordan Matthews, the tight end. So they will go with only 3 tight ends. And I'm tweeting it right now. So that's the news. Jordan Matthews becomes the 49ers' 10th cut of the day. We will update the spreadsheet here. I know this is one that people were curious about. I also want to get rid of this Wilson comment. God, so many of you guys are commenting, which is great, but I can't find where this tweet was. There it is. Take this one off. Go down here. We are going to add Jordan Matthews to the list down here. Not sure if practice squad is likely, but it's possible. And we'll take Jordan Matthews off of the list up here. So the 49ers are out of surplus tight ends. They now have officially, or will officially, take George Kittle, Charlie Warner, and Ross Dwelly, 3 tight ends, on their 53-man roster. That is 10 cuts for today. There's some kind of rumor floating around that the 49ers are saying no to defensive line trades. This is something that we already knew. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have both spoken of how much they value the depth there. And because of the Maurice Hurst injury, because of the Jordan Willis suspension, there's actually not too much to trade with the 49ers and the defensive line room, because they want that deep defensive line that comes in waves. You know, people operating by the standard mindset think that, oh, they have plenty to trade, they're so deep. But no, the key to this team's success on the defensive line is to be deep, so they can all play 120 miles an hour and keep on coming in waves in Chris Kaserik's system. You need defensive linemen 8, 9, and 10 for this to work. So I do not see a trade coming along the defensive line. So with Jordan Matthews released, 3 tight ends, George Kittle, Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner. What does this mean? Well, I had projected 4 tight ends. I thought Michael Pruitt was going to make the team, so I was wrong on that. They're going to have to eat the money, $500,000 guaranteed for Michael Pruitt, so it's not a cheap maneuver to do this. But the 49ers decided they're only going to go 3 tight ends, and it does look they're only going to go 6 wide receivers. Does this mean that the 49ers are going to carry 3 quarterbacks? I'm not sure, because the tight end number is lower than we thought. We assumed the 49ers would carry 2 quarterbacks, but I wasn't sure about that because Shanahan does like to carry 3 if he can. So this is going to be really interesting. But the 49ers now do have an extra spot on this spreadsheet to work with that we didn't anticipate them having earlier in the day. All right, questions, keep them coming in. Hope you guys are enjoying your lunch. I haven't eaten yet. I don't think I will until after, because right now there's just too much happening. That was pretty cool. Broke some news on the YouTube channel today. Found out that Jordan Matthews had been released. I don't think it was all too surprising, but I'm thankful for all of you for subscribing and checking it out and subscribing to The Athletic. Again, and now we need to remember that this is just the initial 49ers 53-man roster. This is by no means the final 53-man roster. So it's going to change maybe even this week. For example, in 2019, Jalen Hurd was on the initial 53-man roster, but then he was put on injured reserve shortly thereafter. The practice squad is also 16 players big, and it has great call-up flexibility now. So Kyle Shanahan said, I'm looking at this more as a 69-player roster, not a 53-player roster. So it's 69 guys are going to stay in that building for the 49ers, which means that this process lasts throughout today, past the 53-man cut-down deadline in 35 minutes, all the way until this week when the 49ers finalize their 16-man practice squad. I do wonder if Dante Johnson is going to make that 53-man. I actually have Dante projected to make it. And the 49ers definitely have carved out enough room by carrying only 6 receivers and 3 tight ends for Dante Johnson to make it. The likelihood that Aaron Banks starts or plays much this season. I mean, the 49ers hope that he plays plenty this season. They hope that he starts at some point so you can move Daniel Brunskill wherever you can. But the first indication in that first preseason game wasn't good. Banks really struggled. And then he got hurt, that shoulder joint AC separation. That was tough. So, I don't know. The problem is that practice time is valuable, camp time is valuable, and Banks had that taken away from him through that injury. So we're going to have to wait to evaluate. He will make that 53-man roster, though, as a second-round draft pick, and he should be back shortly because the timetable on the injury was only 2 or 3 days. Jason Hurley does a great job with the 49ers cap, and I just replied to one of my tweets. He confirmed that it was correct. It's always good to get his verification because he's an expert on this kind of stuff. With Michael Pruitt, if he goes to the practice squad, he can make up to $252,000 there. And remember that Michael Pruitt has a $500,000 guarantee from the 49ers. So even though they released him, they're going to owe him that money for sure. If Pruitt makes that practice squad and makes $252,000, the 49ers would be able to get a cap rebate for part of that $500,000 next season. That would come onto the books in 2022. It could get more complicated because Pruitt could make the practice squad and then be shuttled up and down and all this and all that. But whatever happens from this point on with Pruitt will be a new contract potentially with the 49ers, and then any adjustments will come as rebates in the next season. But as of right now, they're on the hook for that $500,000, which is not insignificant. So I think the big picture takeaways right now, guys, as we look at this 53-man roster are, you could zoom in here on your screen or on your phones. I still have the 49ers at 2 quarterbacks because if you look at this, I have 53 players right here. This thing adds it up automatically. So right now we're at 53 players if we're projecting this with the 49ers carrying 2 quarterbacks, with them carrying 5 running backs, including Kyle Juszczyk, with them carrying 6 wide receivers, including both Jalen Hurd and Juwan Jennings, with them carrying 3 tight ends, Kittle, Werner, Dwelley, with them carrying 8 offensive linemen, with them carrying 11 defensive linemen, and that includes Maurice Hurst, who's going to go on IR in all likelihood shortly after cutdown day, 5 linebackers, 6 cornerbacks, including Dante Johnson, and 4 safeties. Then you obviously have 3 specialists. But the numbers work out for the 49ers right now to only carry those 2 quarterbacks. Now, I think if they do carry somehow 3 quarterbacks, one of the players down here is not going to be able to make it. So you look through the rest of the roster and you say, who might not make it out of this roster? The only person, there's 2, but the most realistic one is Dante Johnson at cornerback. Maybe Dante doesn't make it. If you take Dante off, then 3 quarterbacks can make it. If you take Tavon Wilson off, who maybe also isn't locked in, but I do think the 49ers want that veteran safety depth. Well, if you take him off, then you have 3 quarterbacks possible in this situation. So it's up in the air, but you need one of the spots that I currently have projected down here to not work out so that the 49ers would be able to take 3 quarterbacks, if that makes sense. And I think that they're, maybe Demetrius Flanagan fouls, but that would mean only 4 linebackers. I think they're going to take 5. So I think that all eyes right now should be on Dante Johnson and Tavon Wilson. Those are our most uncertain spots because the big question is, can the 49ers fit a 3rd quarterback? We know that Trey Lance chipped his finger, which is a fracture yesterday. They're saying only 7 days, but who knows? If it's longer, maybe Shanahan does want to take Nate Sudfeld. And I believe that is a thought that I should tweet. Here's what I wrote. Given how this has gone so far, big remaining question is 2 or 3 QBs on the 53 for the 49ers. With only 3 tight ends, team would have a room for Nate Sudfeld in my projection if Dante Johnson or Tavon Wilson are removed from it. This might depend on Lance prognosis, Lance finger prognosis. The initial prognosis is only 7 days, but maybe that has changed since yesterday. We don't know. We haven't talked to Kyle Shanahan since then. So this is all going to be tricky. Given how this has gone so far, big remaining question is 2 or 3 QBs on 53 for 49ers. I have to get this under the character limit. With only 3 tight ends, team would have room for Nate Sudfeld in my projection if Dante Johnson or Tavon Wilson removed from it. This might depend on Lance finger prognosis. I still have to get 4 characters out of this. Twitter can be frustrating because I had to put the link to the spreadsheet on there. I'll just take out Nate Sudfeld's first name. There we go. All right, it's tweeted. Kyle is not expected to speak until tomorrow when we'll be at practice. So Wednesday and Thursday practice for the 49ers. The weekend is off. This is exciting to track. I mean, I get a lot of you want Hasty over Gallman. Maybe it will happen, but I think Gallman is the favorite for that spot. So this is a situation where we're waiting to see who the 49ers pick in that spot. I think it's closer than it would have been had Jermichael Hasty not had the big runs later on, but I still do think that Gallman is the favorite for this roster. All right. 1 second here. I'm going to take a little break to say something. Sorry about that, guys. I had to mute. I'm saying something downstairs. As you know, I'm taking care of my grandma up here at the lake house before I head back to the Bay Area for 49ers practice tomorrow. I mean, this is what it comes down to. Hasty is quick, but the 49ers will take Gallman's pass protection unless you want the quarterbacks to be in more danger. And I think that's what it comes down to. It comes down to veteran stability. I hope that you're not losing to me anymore. I unmuted myself. I had to mute myself there for a second because I was talking to my grandma who's off screen. 90 years old, born in 1931. Yeah, but explosiveness is not everything. I get it. But some of the fundamentals, especially out of your 4th or 5th running back, however you want to term it, pass protection is worth its weight in gold. So this is a multifaceted decision. Size is also huge because Hasty's been running at 2nd and 3rd stringers in the back half of these preseason games. Gallman is a guy who's already proven himself in a regular season environment against 1st stringers that you can hold up. Jason Hurley says he's on the live stream. Everybody follow him. 49ers Cap on Twitter. He does a great job. He said he's watching. So shout out to Jason. He's taught me a lot about the Cap. I'm not afraid to say when I don't know something. And the Cap is tough, but I've been able to not master it, but get a lot better at it. In fact, while we're waiting for these next cuts to come in, I'm going to show you guys the salary cap sheet, which I should probably update. Might be too hard to update while I'm live right now, but we will erase this Hasty is more explosive comment. Good comment from Brandon, but explosiveness is not everything. Let's go right here. 49ers 53-man salary cap. You can access this sheet by going to comment, which I'm posting right now. And in a couple minutes, I got to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to keep the live going, guys. So I'll be right back or something. but I have to help bring a couple things upstairs and go check in on my grandma. I thought the 49ers cuts would have come in one fell swoop there, but they didn't. So I want to make sure I'm around at 1 p.m. I think we may see some stuff finalized. Maybe we'll even get an email from the 49ers at 1 p.m. But it looks like we got a record amount of you online right now, so it's good. Here, if you take a look, is the 49ers salary cap projection. Now, I've been keeping this all off season. In fact, this used to be a kind of a worksheet that people are able to work with before free agency that ended up being fun. But this is how much every single player who makes the 53-man roster will cost. At this point, it's still only a projection for most of these spots. But, for example, I've already added Michael Pruitt to the list down here. Should be let's make these all the same font. I've already added Michael Pruitt as $500,000 in dead money. I have Maurice Hurst going to an injured list. So you could see I'm keeping this up to date. I have the 49ers currently with $2.5 million in cap room. Again, this is all an estimate. This is all fluid situation, but you can follow along from the financial aspect over here. So we're just trying to become smarter football fans and realize the 49ers are juggling multiple things as they're building this 53-man roster, which will ultimately turn into a 69-man roster if you consider the practice squad as part of that equation. But I am having a lot of fun doing this with you guys. So it's almost time to take a quick break. You could stay online. I will, even put a little note saying that I'm going to be right back, and I'll just turn off my mic. Then I'll sit down and we'll keep on going, hopefully with some more news here in a few minutes. But I don't want to kick everybody off after you were here the whole time. No, the actual roster is not yet released. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get this depth chart out in big for you so you could be taking a look at it? It's obviously going to be in the link. Share the screen this way. And then I'm going to put a banner up on here. Or some text or something that says be right back if I can figure this out. Lombardi will be right back. Here we go. Cool. All right. So Lombardi will be right back. I'm going to turn off my mic, make sure that no other news happened here in the last couple minutes. Doesn't look like it has. So hold tight, examine the spreadsheet, stay on Twitter, and we'll be back when some more of these moves happen here in a couple minutes. All right, everybody, take care. Enjoy your lunch. All right, hey, everybody, I'm back. Hopefully you can hear me again. Did anything happen while I was gone? Hope not. We'll take a look. We need to get the chat open. Here we go. 20 new comments. I have to scroll through Twitter to see what did happen, if anything. It's kind of how it works on days like today. I don't think anything happened, so I think I took the break the right time. We are T-minus 14 minutes until cut down time. What did Matt Barrows tweet? Yep, they will go in with 3 tight ends. So, yeah, nothing happened. To review, here is the 49ers 53-man roster again. Bro, that's a projection still, but it's an 80-man roster down to 71 right now. So 71-man roster with a 53-man projection. You could view it at the link that I just messaged. Maybe I should retweet on Twitter to get people to join our show. Actually, I'll wait till the 49ers actually have done something. so people don't show up and just see me sitting here without really saying much. Pretty cool. A lot of people just joined again once I came back on. Well, why don't we go over who might make the practice squad for the 49ers? So here, zooming in, running cut down day list. Remember, 16 can make the practice squad. So as of right now, everybody they cut could theoretically make the practice squad. Jonas Griffith, they didn't cut, they traded him. So he's at the top here. He's not eligible for that. But Senyo Kelemete is a guard, so guard depth there. I think they want him on the practice squad. Josh Hokett, I can confirm that the 49ers want him on the practice squad. Just think if Kyle Juszczyk goes down for a game, too, just a game this season, the 49ers, their offense will look very, very different. He makes so much of that offense work, the style that the 49ers run it in. The blocks that Kyle Juszczyk has to make are unique for a player at that position. The fact that he has to run pass patterns, carry the football, that's all something, stuff that fullbacks don't normally do in the NFL. So the 49ers need a backup just in case he's not available any particular week. And you have that backup on the practice squad. So Hokett clears waivers. The 49ers can call him up from the practice squad and hopefully not skip a beat during the course of the regular season. Brendel's interesting because I think it was Rappaport or Garofalo, not Garoppolo, Mike Garofalo, who tweeted that Jake Brendel was released, but he could come back a little bit later this week. That tells me that might be the wink-wink deal for the 49ers to be able to carry Maurice Hurst on the roster, because I thought there was a good chance the 49ers would want to carry Jake Brendel. He was their best fringe offensive lineman this preseason, and center depth is really important for a football team that has consistently fallen apart offensively whenever its top center has not been available, whether that be Weston Richburg or Ben Garland or potentially Alex Mack here moving forward. Stuff can get bad if the 49ers lose Alex Mack due to injury, because you look at the roster here, and I could move this up to the offensive line. Hopefully you guys can see this without me making it big. There's nobody behind Alex Mack. So if Alex Mack goes down, Daniel Brunskill has to move up. And in effect, you are derailing two positions just because one saw an injury if Mack goes down, because you need a new right guard as well. So Jake Brendel can be very valuable to this team, either on the practice squad as a call-up or if he's on the 53-man roster as somebody who can replace Alex Mack in game in case that becomes necessary. But as of right now, the 49ers have released Brendel, and we'll see what the actual plan for him coming up is. No, this is not true. Ross Dwelley was Kyle Juszczyk's backup in 2019, and Ross Dwelley wasn't great at that fullback role. It takes a completely different skill set than the tight end role. You need to stock your body. I think Dwelley was passable while Juszczyk was out, but the 49ers offense did stall while Juszczyk was out. It was nowhere near as efficient as it was with Kyle Juszczyk. So Dwelley is not Juszczyk's backup. Hokett is Juszczyk's backup, and that 16-man practice squad is so important for reasons like this. You're either flexing a tight end who's a fish out of water into a critical fullback role, or you're bringing a guy who's actually been trained and has the body type for it into that critical fullback role. So if Josh Hokett clears waivers and makes the practice squad, it's a big win for the 49ers. Jake Brendel, though, is, we're talking about him and non-offensive line. That's a big deal, I think. I think he might be the guy that the 49ers bring back to the 53 after they put Maurice Hurst on IR, or at the very least, he'll be on the practice squad if he's able to clear through everything, and he'll be a guy that the 49ers can call up like Hokett. The difference between the practice squad and the 53-man roster is mainly money. I mean, the practice squad veteran salary is $252,000. The minimum salary for veterans on the 53-man roster, if they have 7 or more accrued seasons, is $1.075 million. So that's over $250,000 in difference. And, you have big gaps at all the pay grades across the board. So if you make the 53-man roster, you are locked into more money, way more money than if you make the practice squad. But other than that, the difference really lies in game day usage. If you're on the practice squad, unless you're one of the two players flexed up, 49ers can't use you on game day. They can use you as a reserve in week. So Mack gets hurt on a Sunday. You want to replace Alex Mack? Well, you'll call up a practice squad guy on Wednesday, and he'll be ready for the next following Sunday. However, you can't replace Alex Mack if he gets hurt in the second quarter with a practice squad guy. That you'd have to have somebody on the actual 53-man roster who's also on that Sunday's active roster. That's the difference between having Jake Brendel on your 53-man roster and on the practice squad, is that in-game substitution capability. You insulate yourself against an injury that can derail you mid-game, like one to Alex Mack. So you have to gauge how confident are you in Daniel Brunskill moving over the center and Aaron Banks or Colton McKivitz taking over at right guard. How confident are you in two-position shuffling to account for an injury mid-game? If you think that's going to destroy you mid-game, if that's going to completely kill your flow mid-game, well, then you carry Jake Brendel on the 53-man roster. You don't risk that. But if you think you can manage and stay afloat mid-game, then you don't carry Jake Brendel on your 53. I think it comes down to that. So the 49ers, as of now, have released Brendel. We're waiting to see, with 7 minutes left to go until cut down time, what they're going to do right here with the quarterback situation, 2 or 3 QBs, and how that might affect everything else, including Dante Johnson, who I think the 49ers want as veteran cornerback depth, and what they're going to do potentially with Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who I think will be this team's 5th linebacker. We're also seeing what they're going to do with the rest of the practice squad. For example, I think Justin Hilliard, linebacker out of Ohio State, he hits hard. I thought he was impressive in the preseason. I think that you see Hilliard make the practice squad. Elijah Mitchell, I'm seeing some Twitter chatter right now, is an absolute lock to make the 49ers roster. That I'm 100% sure of. The running back room, the final spot in the running back room is coming down to JaMychal Hasty and Wayne Gallman. Elijah Mitchell's not part of that discussion. He's already in. He's a lock. The betting favorite is Wayne Gallman. The fan favorite is JaMychal Hasty. There's a difference between those two. There's a chance that JaMychal Hasty makes it over Gallman. I'm not saying never right now. Never do say never in situations like this. I'm just telling you what the most likely course of action here is. Yep, I mean, this is a good point. If Sudfeld makes the 53, it's a good indication that Lance's finger is more serious than what Kyle would like you to believe, or what Kyle knew at the time. You know, Kyle might have thought, 7-day injury at first. But it's you never know. I mean, and the roster's going to change too between now and week 1. That's another thing to remember. 49ers can bring in another tight end. They can go for a return specialist to fill some gaps. You know, there's so much that can happen between now and September 12th. This is about maneuvering to protect certain players from the waiver wire and from other teams poaching them if they're vested veterans. Wayne Gallman was very good for a terrible Giants team last year, and I see no way the 49ers cut him. I mean, that's really how I feel. Not no way, but I see it's very unlikely that the 49ers cut Wayne Gallman. Guy was a plus back on a bad team. He ran hard. He moved the pile, and most importantly, the guy can pass protect. I mean, people care so much about fantasy stats these days. They don't care about individual pass protection, but that's going to help your quarterback in fantasy. I'll tell you that much. Trey Lance's biggest throw against the Chargers came down the sideline to Trent Sherfield. It doesn't happen if Wayne Gallman doesn't step in there and just body a blitzing linebacker. And that's not easy to do as a running back. You're going to be lighter than that linebacker in almost all instances, especially if you're a guy like Wayne Gallman, and you're not going to have any momentum. That linebacker is going to have momentum. So you have to have some courage as the running back, and you have to have some strength, and you have to have some technique to be able to dig your feet in and absorb that blitz. Not everybody could do that, and I can tell you what, JaMychal Hasty's not nearly as good at it because he's smaller than a veteran like Wayne Gallman, who's already proven he can do it in the league. So that's why Gallman is the betting favorite for that spot. I think Hasty rebut it with some really nice runs. But again, We saw JaMychal Hasty last year. It is tougher for a smaller back to survive at the NFL level, especially when Hasty reached a featured role when everybody else got hurt. His body had trouble handling that. So I don't think any of these Shanahan running backs are featured kind of guys, 20-carry guys who can carry the whole load. Kyle hasn't designed his offense to be that. He's designed his offense to be running back by committee. So each guy has to have a diversified skill set. They need to be able to bring something to the table. I think Gallman brings you that pass protection. Sermon brings you the first down bull running. Mostert brings you the speed. I mean, that guy gets around the edge faster than anybody in the NFL. We see Mostert's value. By the way, I think it's funny that some people wanted the 49ers to trade Raheem Mostert a few months ago. It looks pretty damn stupid right now. You have Jeff Wilson. He's going to be fresh legs, veteran reinforcement coming in off his meniscus around midseason. And then you have Elijah Mitchell, who brings you, I think, the most special teams capability out of any of those running backs. Gallman's going to have to bring it too, but I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be your kick returner for the 49ers, one of them. And he's got some burst. He really does. He's got some burst, but he's got some muscle. I like Elijah Mitchell because he's raised out on a farm in Louisiana. He's the kind of guy. He's a blue-collar type of running back that can also run. And the 49ers love that out of Elijah Mitchell. Kike Hernandez. It'd be funny if that was the actual former Dodgers player. If you are, let me know. But David, do you think they may go 5 wide receivers and look for someone on the waiver wire? Examples: Ridley, all these guys that are that may have been waived so far. I mean, maybe if they think that some of these guys are better than who they have, but who would you not take as a receiver? I'm looking up here. You take Ayuk, you take Samuel, Sherfield's on the team, Jennings and Hurd on the team, Sanu. I mean, they're happy with all the receivers right now. So take something big to be, to happen to shake that up. All right, we're a minute away from the deadline. So I wonder if the 49ers are going to send an email shortly after 1 o'clock, or if we're going to have to wait a longer period of time. I won't keep this going forever, but we'll talk about some of the big storylines that some of you may have missed while we're waiting. Right now, I think the biggest storyline has been MyCole Pruitt waived, so only 3 tight ends for the 49ers, at least to begin on the 53-man roster. That, combined with the fact that Jake Brendel has been released, means that the 49ers have enough room on their roster as it stands to take both Jawan Jennings and Jalen Hurd. This should make a lot of fans very happy because that's what the fans wanted. They wanted Jennings and Hurd to make the roster. That's what's happened. The other move that had to happen to make that possible is Travis Benjamin has been released. It all adds up to Hurd and Jennings very likely, almost certainly, on the 49ers' final 53-man roster. And it also means that the 49ers are very, very comfortable with Brandon Ayuk returning punts for them, because Ayuk and Mohamed Sanu are the 2 guys who have not yet been cut and won't be cut, especially Ayuk, that have punt return experience. And it's really important to put somebody back there that has real punt return experience. You don't want a Kyle Williams situation. I know he had experience, but it's much more likely that somebody without it fumbles the football in a critical moment. So that is the key to understanding what's happened so far. Benjamin cut, MyCole Pruitt cut, Jennings and Hurd safely in, Ayuk looking like your punt returner for the 49ers with some reps, possibly safety reps, a security blanket provided by Mohamed Sanu. What we don't know, as 1 o'clock has now come and passed, is what has, going on at other positions, such as quarterback. Will the 49ers carry 2 or 3? How serious is Lance's bone chip? Will the 49ers take Dante Johnson at cornerback to insulate themselves with Ambry Thomas and Diomedor Lenore obviously showing some signs of being rookies during the preseason? Will the 49ers take Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles as their 5th linebacker? We'll see. It is now 1:01 p.m. If you look here on the 49ers 53-man roster, we have 70 players currently on it. So they've had to make the cuts by now. The deadline has passed, but we still need to see at least 16 cuts, because I think that Sean Coleman will almost certainly go on IR. with a tricep strain that will keep him out a while. But we need to see the 49ers make some more cuts. 10 have been jettisoned so far. I'm keeping count down here on the spreadsheet, but we're going to need to see over 24 more. And we're going to wait, and I'm going to try to hold this out for you here in case the 49ers send out an email with official news here in the next few minutes. So until then, why don't we pass the time with some questions? And I zoom out of here. More and more viewers, which is really nice. Yeah, this is a good one. David Bakhtiari from the Packers, their all-pro left tackle, is on PUP. He's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. So, yes, Nick Bosa is salivating going against his backup come week 3. I think that's going to be Elgton Jenkins, a player the Packers drafted a couple years ago and has done a great job for them at guard and at center. They say that he looks like a natural at tackle, so he's going to be good. And I'll tell you what, maybe Jenkins does better against Bosa than Bakhtiari did, because Bakhtiari really struggled against Nick Bosa in their 2 matchups in 2019, regular season and an NFC Championship game. Nick Bosa ate him alive. So I think it's all going to be good for the 49ers. They're certainly not upset that David Bakhtiari will be out, but even if he were in, I think they'd be confident in Nick Bosa, who, by the way, Trent Williams says looks better now than he did before his ACL tear. That's something, but the special ones are made out of special stuff, and I think you can count Nick Bosa in that category. Will Jalen Hurd be a pure wide receiver, or do you see him playing a hybrid wide receiver, running back, tight end role? You know what? I see everybody on this 49ers roster playing some kind of hybrid role. The 49ers are into what we call positionless skill position football. Kyle Shanahan's been trying to make this happen since 2017. In a way, it's even moved over to the quarterback position this year. When you see the quarterbacks being treated like wide receivers and tight ends, as they're being subbed in and out based on personnel packages. But for a long time, we've already seen tight ends act as receivers. George Kittle split out wide. Hell, even Kyle Juszczyk has split out wide. And we've seen running backs, involved in the pass game. It's a situation where the receivers all have to block too. So tight ends acting as receivers, receivers acting as tight ends. There's obviously going to be some delineation. You have to have the tight end heavy enough to take on a 250, 260-pound defensive end, which you don't expect tight ends to do. But you do expect, for the benefit of Kyle Shanahan's play calling, for everybody to be able to do a little bit of everything. So the answer to your question is yes. I do expect Jalen Hurd to play a hybrid role. We already saw him take a handoff against the Raiders. This is a guy, Jalen Hurd, who was a power back in the SEC at Tennessee before becoming an outside wide receiver in the Big 12. That is a special combination. That's why the 49ers have been so patient with Hurd throughout 2 full seasons, lost due to injury. They see a guy who can be a back and who can also be a receiver and who can obviously, with his size, also block. So that hybrid running back, wide receiver, tight end role makes Jalen Hurd a dream fit for Shanahan's offense if he's healthy, and that's why they're keeping him on this 53-man roster. This is big for the 49ers. They did finally get a good center in Alex Mack, and this could really unlock the offense. You have to realize that Jimmy Garoppolo has been an efficient quarterback despite a bad offensive line that's been frequently injured. So it's important for both Garoppolo and for Trey Lance to play behind a line that takes care of stuff. Let me tell you something. In the 49ers offensive scheme, the center is the one that handles the protections. So if your center sucks, your quarterback is in big trouble. Go back to the game against Seattle. Hronis Grasu started last year. I can't even tell you how many times the 49ers gave up untouched pressure up the A-gap. Garoppolo, especially on an injured ankle, had no chance in that game. The backups had no chance last year. Trey Lance would have no chance against some of that interior pressure. Your center needs to be able to delegate responsibility. You delegate it to him. So your center needs to be able to assign responsibility correctly to the rest of the blocking apparatus to pick up A-gap and, interior pressure. And then he can also make the tackles better by setting the line. He can make the quarterback better by identifying safety rotations. He makes that run game look good. And Alex Mack is Shanahan's dream center cerebrally. The fact that he's in the 49ers offense is huge. And the fact that he's going to be 36 is also significant. He's one of the most durable linemen in NFL history. There was a stretch there where Mack started 80 or 90 straight games. But since he's going to be 36, there's a chance that streak, doesn't continue. And it already ended last year. There's a chance another one doesn't really start and get going if Mack gets dinged up in 2021, which is why I'm keeping a close eye on what the 49ers do moving forward with their backup center, Jake Brendel. They released him about an hour ago. We're going to see if they bring him back into the fold. We do know that there needs to be one wink deal. By that, I mean the 49ers, if you look at the spreadsheet here, need to be able to fit 11 defensive linemen on their 53-man roster. I'm highlighting that group here. That includes the one highlighted in pink, and that is Maurice Hurst, who's going to be headed to an injury list. So the 49ers expect to get Maurice Hurst back at some point this season off of his high ankle sprain. The problem is if he doesn't make the initial 53-man roster, he's ineligible to come back this year off of injured reserve. But if he makes the 53-man roster and then goes on injured reserve, Maurice Hurst can come back within 3 weeks. So the 49ers had to carve open an extra spot. My question is, which player did they, essentially sacrifice as a veteran for a day or two to open that 53-man spot? There's a chance it was Jake Brendel, one of the offensive linemen. So say that Hurst makes that 53-man roster as expected. What you'll see is the 49ers then put him on IR so that way he can return. That would reopen that one spot, and then you'll see the 49ers very likely re-sign one of the veterans that they released. Who will that be? Could it be Jake Brendel? So far, the indications are that he's probably in the clubhouse leader for that designation, but we absolutely can't be sure of anything yet. Whoever reported that Brendel was being released also reported the 49ers were seriously considering bringing him back this week. So that might be the wink situation. I can tell you that the 49ers were very happy with Jake Brendel's performance this preseason, and I can tell you what that initial report about Jake Brendel said. In fact, I'll find that tweet here in a second so we can talk about it. 49ers currently at 70, waiting to cut down even further. Give me a second. I'm going to check some messages. Anytime now, 49ers. If you could send out your release right after 1, that would be awesome. We're almost across 500. Reminder, everybody, subscribe. Tell your friends about the YouTube channel. It's been awesome being able to do this in real time. You could see how I've worked, how I've updated the 49ers roster and updated the projection as we've learned more information. It's almost like an election and results coming in because different things are affected by other spots of the roster. So it's cool to do this in real time. However, if you do enjoy this and you want me to keep on doing these as much as possible, it's always great when I could just reach more people. So thanks for subscribing. Make sure to do so as we have just crossed that 500 viewer threshold. Again, those of you just joining, the big news for the 49ers is the fact that they have released Travis Benjamin from the receiver room. They've released Jake Brendel, which means that they're not at least initially going to carry 9 offensive linemen. And they've released Michael Pruitt, even though he has $500,000 in guaranteed money from the tight end room. That big news means that the 49ers have room to carry both Jalen Hurd and Jawan Jennings. It's not an either or, it's and now on their 53-man roster, which I think will make a lot of fans very happy. We don't have news on the 49ers quarterback situation yet. So far, I still have Garoppolo and Lance projected to make it, with Sudfeld going to the practice squad. And we don't have news on the cornerback situation yet. We do know that Dante Johnson is a possibility there, but we don't have confirmation of that at this moment. If you are interested in the defensive backfield and have just tuned in, Clinton Dix has been released. So he's not going to be in that safety room. We're also still waiting to learn the fate of Tavon Wilson. However, Clinton Dix's release makes it much more likely the 49ers carry Wilson as a 4th safety. The only other question that I really have about this roster is at linebacker, and that's the final spot. For that final spot, the 49ers did trade Jonas Griffith earlier today to Denver. That means that the odds-on favorite is the guy that I projected into the final spot, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. I thought the Griffith trade was a coup for the 49ers, a minor one, because Griffith was not expected to make the 49ers 53-man roster. Because of that, anything that you get for the guy who was not going to clear waivers, obviously, because Denver is willing to trade for him, anything that you get for him is a bonus. The 49ers essentially got a 6th-round pick in 2022 after a pick swap for Jonas Griffith development. And I thought that was a cool story. Obviously, 49ers linebackers coach Johnny Holland going through a tough time. His cancer, the multiple myeloma, has relapsed. He's going to take some time away from the team starting next week. Well, talk about a story of development that's paid off for the 49ers. Jonas Griffith was an undrafted free agent last season, comes in, and within the course of about a year and a half, the 49ers have developed Jonas Griffith from UDFA into a 53-man roster player who commanded a draft pick in return. And the position coach who developed Jonas Griffith, Johnny Holland. So 49ers can thank Johnny for that. They love Johnny. All our, thoughts and prayers do go out to Johnny Holland and his family. This is something, this multiple myeloma that he's been dealing with, relapse, remission. You just got to hate it. Cancer, it's terrible. But he's been dealing with this since about this time of 2019, and he's been a warrior, and the 49ers really respect him. He's done such an awesome job. Arguably one of their best position coach. Look what he's done with Fred Warner. Look what he's done with Dre Greenlaw. I know you can have an argument that Chris Kasarik is also a great position coach. I get it, but Johnny Holland has done one hell of a job. That's the room of Warner. It's the room of Greenlaw. Azeez Al-Shaair has been coming along. I think Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles has been coming along. Look how quickly Marcel Harris has been able to convert from safety successfully to linebacker. He's flying around the football now. He's a lock for that 53-man roster. And then you look at Jonas Griffith, the player that the 49ers developed from undrafted free agency into a legitimate trade target. So all the best out to Johnny Holland. Cancer is a terrible thing. And Johnny, former linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, has done such a great job developing all the players that I just listed for the 49ers. He deserves all those best wishes right now. So we'll take a little moment there to think of him as he takes his leave of absence to undergo some more treatment for his cancer. $559 viewers right now. It's my area code, 559, home area code, where I was born. Who backs up Jimmy Ward is the next question. Tavon Wilson backs up Jimmy Ward. You have Tavon Wilson and Talanoa Hufanga as my two safeties right now on the 49ers 53-man roster projection, with Jared Maiden being on the practice squad. So if you want more of a free safety type, maybe you bring Jared Maiden up for a game. But I think that you have Tart, Ward, Hufanga, and Wilson as your four safeties on the 53. Remember that the safety position has become more and more interchangeable for the 49ers, where they're not running this predominantly cover three scheme where the free safety is playing that eraser all the time, and center field way back from the line of scrimmage. Ooh, JaMychal Hasty made the 53-man roster. Nice. That's going to make a lot of you guys happy. I was wrong about that one. I thought that Wayne Gallman would make it. I don't think that Gallman's going to make it. So let's tweet right here. So breaking news. Finally, something happened. This is courtesy of Matt Barrows, my colleague Matt Barrows. Big news. JaMychal Hasty earns a spot on the 49ers 53. I was wrong about this one. Wayne Gallman seemed to be the betting favorite, but Hasty's electric rushing performances earned him the nod. Hasty also seems to have built a sturdier frame since his rookie year, which is big. All right, let's read the tweet before I send it. Big news, JaMychal Hasty earned the spot on the 49ers 53. I was wrong about this one. Wayne Gallman seemed to be the betting favorite, but Hasty's electric rushing performances earned him the nod. Hasty also seems to have built a sturdier frame since his rookie year, which is big. Tweet. Oops. All right, it's up there. So JaMychal Hasty makes the 49ers 53-man roster. I am not going to erase Wayne Gallman yet because we don't have news about that. But what I can do is take Hasty here, take Gallman, cut, paste Gallman over here, take Hasty, cut and paste him in on the 53-man roster. Give him that spot, put Gallman right up here, and fix this line on the right for Wayne Gallman so it looks nice and clean. So there we go. Nope, there's going to be a line above these two guys as well that I have to do. I know I should have done paste special or whatever all of you Excel nerds like me to do, but I didn't. Sorry about that. 53-man roster is now updated with JaMychal Hasty on it thanks to Matt Barrow's report. And I'm going to tweet again. We now await with JaMychal Hasty aboard. We now await Wayne Gallman's fate. There's a chance the 49ers will, in all likelihood, cut Gallman. But if they can bring him back to either the practice squad or the active roster early in the season, I would not be surprised. RB depth, running back depth, is a constant fluid need. Tweeting in real time. With JaMychal Hasty aboard, we now await Wayne Gallman's fate. The 49ers will, in all likelihood, cut Gallman, but if they can bring him back to either the practice squad or the active roster early in the season, I would not be surprised. Running back depth is a constant fluid need. All right, so again, Wayne Gallman has not been officially, well, I mean, he may have been officially released, but we don't know. I think Gallman would have to be waived too because he's only played 3 seasons. So we're going to wait to see what happens. In a bit, I'm going to sign off and probably rejoin you guys after the cuts are done because I want to get some food before the 49ers send out their actual list. Somebody says that somebody's tweeted that Gallman has been released, so I'll take a look at that here in a second. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be the corresponding move, and I'll make the change here. I think that Hasty's going to be a little bit cheaper than Gallman as far as cap space goes too, just a tiny bit. Not too significant, but remember, the 49ers don't have much of it, so that's also something you want to consider. But we have Hasty in. We'll wait to see a confirmation on Gallman, but in all likelihood, we'll be able to put Gallman right down here on this running cut down day list, which would make it 11 players, put the 49ers at 69 players, and then have stuff continue to work its way toward 53. So the 49ers, we're waiting for the official email from the team. That could come now. It could come at 2. It could come at 4 p.m. I'm not sure. So the 49ers probably just dotting some I's, crossing some T's. But they had to have filed some stuff with the league already. So that's good. You guys got to see some of this work in real time. I just made this kind of a running show just to, take the stuff of the moment as it came. We'll do something a lot more tighter, a lot more condensed once the actual cuts come through. But right now I do have to eat, and I can't keep this going for 2, 3, 4 hours. That's how long this is going to take. So maybe if I end it, that will get the 49ers to send out their official email. All right, guys. Thank you for everything. Who says that Dante Johnson made it yet again? I can't leave if Dante Johnson made it. That's one I would have been right on, is Dante Johnson. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so people are saying Wayne Gallman's released. I don't actually see the tweet or anything to confirm it. I mean, it's all about a foregone conclusion at this point, and not like a technicality is going to change anything. I'm considering that to be finalized for all intents and purposes, and I'm just waiting to update the spreadsheet when I see that tweet. Yeah, I guess I could order delivery, but I don't want to stay on here forever. So anyway, JaMychal Hasty's on. That's the last piece of big news. Jalen Hurd and Jawan Jennings are on. We're going to get back on a live a little bit later today. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.